Dan, here representing Widener, one of the two key areas that are actually being targeted under the new surveillance camera program really involves an area that's fairly close around the perimeter of the campus. Clearly, school tremendously concerned when it comes to security of students. The university is a booster of the surveillance camera program?
Absolutely. We're contributing $300,000 to this initiative. Contributing to the vitality and the well-being of the city of Chester is a very important part of our civic mission, and we're very fortunate to have excellent partners here in the city of Chester with the city itself, with the Riverfront Alliance, and also with Rite Aid. And I'd just like to point out with the Riverfront Alliance, it's not just the Riverfront Alliance. There are a number of, as Michael said, a number of organizations that belong to this that are heavy hitters in the city of Chester.
Right. Michael, one of the things that we noted in the press conference that was held a couple of weeks ago, in which Rite Aid became one of the first really private entities that kicked in. They kicked in $10,000 into the program to secure surveillance cameras. Basically, you combine that with the grant money from PennDOT, along with funds from Widener and the city. It brings the project to just a little more than $1.1 million. But Rite Aid really and truly has a very, very personal stake in the whole idea of fighting crime in the city, because they went through one of the more high-profile cases with the holdup and the fatal shooting of their store manager, Jason Scott McClay. Commissioner, if you could, you also stressed at the time, and you just mentioned it before, that it was the surveillance cameras that was really one of the crucial cogs in solving that Rite Aid case. And ironically enough, as we're doing the show here tonight, 3 suspects are headed to trial in media this week for that. But those surveillance cameras were really one of the linchpins in that case.
It was crucial in both getting the identity, because they were not local people. They were not Delaware County residents. It was crucial in getting the identity and the identification, where the officers and detectives were able to follow it up, and the cooperation of both the news media and the actual TV media putting these pictures out. The phone started ringing right off the hook. And the cameras, they were just top-notch cameras. They were very, very clear, very precise.
Something else that you referenced just a little bit earlier, but you also talked a little bit about, and it's something that we see, and it's not just in the city of Chester. We see this an ongoing pattern in areas that have crime problems. And you mentioned the fact that, you know, the truth of the matter is humans have certain foibles, and one of them is the fact that they can be intimidated, and there's a little bit of a fear aspect. The camera doesn't have that problem. The camera is always going to be there. One of the things that we sometimes hear an awful lot about from the community is a couple of things. One, places they fear that the cameras don't always work as well as they should. And two, that they're actually sometimes not even turned on. Any reaction to that?
In a lot of the local places, a lot of times the business people themselves don't realize, if you continue to tape and you're using an older camera, tape over it, you're not going to get the clarity that you normally would get in a new tape. And there's some cases people just put cameras up with a blinking light and as a deterrent.
Right.
Of course, this creates a problem. The officers walk in and think, oh, this is great, we got cameras. The guy says, oh no, it's only on a battery. And that presents a problem. And what we're working with the organizations now is that we can tie everything in, and we're tied in with the Philadelphia Fusion Center. Right. And this is going to be a big help for us, because Philadelphia has a lot of success with their camera initiative.
Michael, the Alliance, in addition to providing and securing a lot of this funding, is also administering this program. What exactly does that entail?
Well, we're still waiting for the PennDOT funds to actually arrive, but the idea is that we will continue to serve as the administrator of the funds originally, and I think that the discussion has been to at least maintain an umbrella organization that involves the interested parties, so that the ongoing maintenance and operation of it is taken care of, and that we have a structure to continue to address public safety issues. I mean, this all came out of a work group that was chaired by Dr. Harris. The commissioner's been involved, the mayor's been involved. We have police representatives from other communities, but we also have Crozier Keystone Health System, Harrah's, all engaged in the discussion about, what sorts of public-private partnerships can be created to assist the local police departments in their crime-fighting initiatives.
Right.
So this was the outcome of it.
All right, a little bit of the nuts and bolts. This we'll review a little bit, Mayor. There's actually, to start off, there's going to be two corridors per se. They came up with the blue corridor, which covers the Sun Hill section right here around Widener, from 14th Melrose and Ridley. That's about 10 square blocks. Mm-hmm. And then the so-called yellow corridor, which is another 15 square blocks between Edgemont and Providence from 18th to 24th. How did they go about selecting which neighborhoods were going to be targeted?
Well, obviously, Widener is starting the program for Widener in the Widener area. Mm-hmm. We wanted to start here, but we also want to make sure that the city knows that we are going to spread this entire across the entire city. But that 18th Street, 22nd Street corridor, 22nd and Edgemont, one of our highest crime areas, which happens to be about 5-6 blocks from Widener. Right. So it's a proper fit to start there and move across the city.
All right. Maybe Commissioners, you could tell us a little bit, if you would, just logistically, where are these cameras located and how exactly do they work? Are they on light poles or traffic lights, or how are they set up?
Most of them will be set up on light fixtures or Pico fixtures, and then they will be monitored both at the Divic and Philadelphia, and we'll have a facility here that'll be monitored in the city.
Yeah. I was a little bit taken aback in doing a little bit of research for one of the editorials that we wrote for the paper in support of the program. Is there's been actually, there are several studies that have been done, and amazingly enough, the numbers are pretty dramatic in neighborhoods where they have set up these surveillance programs, that there is not much question that crime goes down after these things. Even just the knowledge and the belief that, hey, that there's cameras now set up in these neighborhoods. That's a sort of a big boost for the program?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the criminals are not stupid. And they realize...
We reserve that for the newspaper people.
and we've actually had, cases, that have been documented in different jurisdictions where the guy went up to the camera and shot it. Mm-hmm. But the last picture on the camera was the guy who was doing the shooting. Yeah. So, I mean, it can only help. And then, once you arrest, a couple of those people, they start, oh, this isn't good, I'm not going to stay here.
Yeah. Dan, obviously, as we talked a little bit before with the idea of security and the campus, the idea of having these cameras, one of the things that you sometimes wonder about, and I don't know if you've heard anything from the student population or anything, or is there any kind of feeling of like a little bit of a big brother-ish kind of atmosphere, that they know that these things are out there, they're being watched, or has anybody offered any privacy concerns?
Not that I've heard, even anecdotally. We presented this to, we have a Sun Hill committee, and we presented this to the Sun Hill committee last month, and they were very, very pleased that this was taking place. I think that's always a concern whenever you have an initiative like this, where we're using security cameras, surveillance cameras. And I know that the mayor touched on this in an event that we had a couple of months ago. It's something as a community leader that you have to take into consideration when you put an initiative like this into place. But the bottom line is, what we hope to do is provide a secure community for the residents of the city of Chester, for Widener University students, and do that within ethical boundaries.
Mm-hmm. Mayor, what kind of reaction have you gotten from the public?
Excited about it. It's time. It's about time, and that's why we're so excited to have Widener and the Riverfront Alliance as partners in this, and Crozier as well, because these talks, as Mike said earlier, started with meetings with President Harris, and so the community is very excited. And again, that's one reason why we wanted to make sure that as we put these cameras around Widener, that we impact an area that had a high volume, so to make sure the community knows. So they're waiting and they applaud.
All right. One of the constant refrain that I saw in some of the emails when I was soliciting questions online during the day is that there are a lot of people in a lot of different neighborhoods and say, hey, bring them on.
Yes.
They would like to have those. Obviously, this is a Cedar program, a start. You would love to see this expanded throughout the residential areas of the city?
We are vigorously seeking partners, and I'm so glad to have Rite Aid step up because you know, you're talking millions of dollars that are needed, but every $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 that people bring to the table is going to mean a couple of cameras in some key areas that are going to help to not only prevent crime but save lives, and that's what we want to make sure that it's a community effort, and we welcome people aboard.
Commissioner, we'll talk a little bit about timing. You have any kind of a feel when you think this program will be up and running?
I would, and I guess Mike can correct me, I was believing within the next 5 to 6 months we'll have cameras mounted and operating.
That would be the hope, yes.
Mayor and Commissioner, both, I'd like to have you talk about something else that's involved in here. I mean, everyone has obviously been in support of the surveillance program and the cameras, but that's not really the only issue that we're talking about here. That's certainly an issue reacting to this. But what is really at the root of the gun violence that we continue to see playing out on the city streets, and what is it that you can do about it other than reacting to it?
Well, again, Phil, we're talking about a culture change. And unfortunately, this culture of actually using a gun to solve problems is, again, a nationwide problem, and unfortunately has become a generational problem. Yeah. So we have to work vigorously to help change the culture in the community, which we have done. My community liaisons have had over 270 meetings over this 3-year period in community engagement meetings, talking to people, getting steering committees, getting people to start talking about this issue, getting their input on what can happen. And some good things can happen. But as Commissioner said, people have been reluctant to come forth because of the risk factor. Now with cameras going to give them a breather. The camera becomes the witness, and they can focus on cleaning up their neighborhoods and structuring it so they can have a better life.